Welcome back, everybody. Coast to Coast, This Week in America, online, thisweekinamerica.us. Time to get up close and personal. Retirement planning advice from one of America's premier financial counselors. Rodger Allen Friedman is a managing director and founding partner of Stewart Partners Global Advisory. He has over 3 decades of experience managing hundreds of millions of dollars of retirement assets and authored 3 books on retirement planning, including his newest, which we'll be talking about today, The Mindset of Retirement, Success, 7 Winning Strategies to Change Your Life. Rodger has written articles for USA Today magazine. Fiduciary News has been featured in Time and U.S. News and World Report. Rodger has obtained his Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor, SM, certification from the College for Financial Planning. He now leads a financial planning team in Bethesda, Maryland, whose focus is designing retirement income strategies. Raised in New York, Rodger is a graduate of the State University of New York, where he studied political science and economics. For the last 30 years, called the Washington, D.C. area his home. New from Rodger Allen Friedman, The Mindset of Retirement Success, 7 Winning Strategies to Change Your Life. And Rodger back with us on This Week in America. Rodger, welcome back to the program. It is always fun, and we're going to learn something during the program today.
Thank you, Rick. It's great to be with you, even if it's raining where you are and raining where I am.
Yeah, for both of us, I usually try to find out where the author's located and maybe get some sunshine, and you got the same weather we have here, so we'll forget it. At least it's not snow, so we can handle the rain. You have our intention right off at the beginning of the book when you talk about over the next 5 years, millions of Americans will reach retirement age with little or no retirement savings or no plan for how to generate life-sustaining income. As we all get older rapidly, and many of us moving into that category, this is a real problem, isn't it?
It is. And, I remember very, very succinctly, I was talking with a childhood friend, and he was telling me about the fact that he might be of retirement age between 6 and 8 years from now, and that he really had not done a good job of savings. And, I looked at him and I said, you're going to be one of millions that are going to retire, in the next 5 to 10 years, and you're not going to have sufficient assets to be able to have a reasonable chance at a lifestyle sustaining income over and above Social Security. And I said, I've written a couple of books on retirement planning, but maybe I could get the word out somehow that there are some strategies for you to follow where you don't have to be a rocket scientist, but perhaps I could help some people, including you.
And this book is going to help so many people. And you talk in the book about there are really thousands of books out there on how to invest and saving for retirement. So information isn't a lack of problem. And you talk about its mindset. It's taking the information and actually doing something with it. The name of the book is The Mindset of Retirement Success, 7 Winning Strategies to Change Your Life. Really, until we get in the right frame of mind, this really is not going to happen, is it?
No, and it takes me back to a discussion I had in the gym. Nobody can do push-ups for you, Rick. It's really up to you to decide, am I going to make this a priority? Because if it's not a priority, you're going to get $5 coffee. If it's not a priority, you're going to spend ridiculous amounts of money on things that are just going to be temporary and fleeting. And because it takes so long to build up sufficient balances, whether in retirement or investment accounts, you need the power of time and compounding, and that could be decades. So the sooner you start, the better and the more serious you need to be.
You get our attention again at the beginning of the book when you talk about many of us are comfortably numb to the risk of what we call the current bank and the future bank. And you just touched on that. And it's a concept that as you do, you break everything down so it's easily understandable. As we're about to once we're about to make an expenditure, we sort of put it in the current bank or the future bank and we become aware of the two. And you're saying we need sort of a balance. Talk about the current bank, the future bank, and how we balance that so we've got something left at the end.
Well, a lot of times people are, they're really drawn to what is shiny, plastic and shiny metal.
Yes.
That might be, leasing a BMW for $479 a month after making a down payment of $3,800, and then 36 months from now, you have no car and no money, and you have to do it all over again.
Exactly.
I know people that do not earn a great deal of money, and they're driving a Mercedes, a Lexus, a BMW, when they should basically be going to CarMax and getting a 3-year-old Camry, okay, and taking the difference of what they would have bought and putting that into a Roth IRA, for example, or their 401k plan, or rental real estate for that matter. The point is that you have to balance what you're spending in the here and now, the current bank, and what is going to be in the future bank from your contributions and compounding and investment results over 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years of savings, because it takes a long time to build up big balances that you could rely on for the rest of your life.
And it's interesting, you talk about the fact you can't really dabble in investing for retirement. And you're talking about this can't be like a one-off from time to time. This really is, again, I go back to the name of the book, The Mindset of Retirement Success. It has to be something where you have a coordinated series of actions. Our guest today is Rodger Allen Friedman, Friedman. The book is The Mindset of Retirement Success, 7 Winning Strategies to Change Your Life. The book is available Amazon, wherever books are sold. Rodger's website, rodgeronretirement.com. And, of course, you can go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on directly. The 7 keys that we're going to talk about, 7 winning strategies. Let's start with number 1, retirement issues you will face. And this is where you begin. These are the issues you think, okay, once we're going to do it, this is what is going to be staring you in the face as you start the process.
There are a lot of scary or 800-pound gorillas when it comes to retirement planning, but you got to think for a minute that if you retire and you and perhaps your spouse are looking forward to 1 or 2 or even 3 decades of living without a paycheck, well, you have to think, how is inflation going to affect you? Inflation may have been 2.5% recently. Historically, it's a bit over 3%. So if I took a 3% inflation and compounded it over 10 or 20 years, that's a huge difference. If you needed $50,000 of retirement income today, in 10 years, you may need $62,000. The question is, what is your strategy to get you from the 50 to the 62? And at that point, most people have the deer in the headlights, and they're, well, I don't have a strategy for that. Well, inflation's not going to stop. It's here whether you like it or not. And that brings me to the second point, is healthcare expense.
Yes.
Everyone knows, unless they've been under a rock, that the cost of healthcare insurance has skyrocketed over the last 5, 10, and 15 years. I'm not going to sit here and blame the government. I'm not going to sit here and blame insurance companies. What I will do is say, you need to recognize that the cost of healthcare insurance is as much, if not more, than a mortgage used to cost on your first or second home. So the point is, how are you going to pay for healthcare expenses in retirement over and above what Medicare will cover? And that's a big if.
And longevity you talk about as an issue as well. This is a good problem in the sense that we're all living longer, but we need to make sure that we can afford to live longer. So that's factored into, I'm sure now, more than maybe 20, 30 years ago when you were working with people.
Right. And, you have some control over your longevity. Obviously, you don't have any control over the genes that your grandparents and great-grandparents passed on to you. But you do have control over, do you get enough exercise? Do you eat properly? Do you smoke? Do you sleep enough? These type of things you do have absolute control over. And if you want to live a long time, you need to make intelligent decisions regarding your health.
The Mindset of Retirement Success, 7 Winning Strategies to Change Your Life. The author, Rodger Friedman, with us on This Week in America. You bring up several things you don't really think of. At least going through this, is like, okay, this is interesting. Asset allocation, which is a very important part, obviously, of what you're going to do, and the withdrawal rate, because once you get it there, you've got to sort of figure out, okay, how am I going to take that and use that to sustain my lifestyle?
Yeah, very, very simply, there's been a rule of thumb in the retirement planning industry or the wealth management industry for literally the last 40 years, and it's called the 4% rule. And it basically stated in just simple language that whatever amount you had, if you took out 4% of the total each and every year, you should probably be fine during a long retirement. And the problem occurs when I say should and probably,
Okay.
because we're not sitting on 100 bars of gold, okay?
Yes.
What we most likely have is a range of accounts, retirement and non-retirement accounts, that might be diversified or allocated among different types of assets. And everyone knows that if you look at the Great Recession, what happened about 8, 9, 10 years ago, you're going to find that a lot of people's retirement plans got disrupted in a big way. And if they took 4% out of their retirement accounts each year, they had a gigantic problem on their hand because they had too much of a drawdown. So the 4% rule might sound nice, but in practicality, doesn't really work well nowadays. You got to rethink it.
The book has laid out the 7 winning strategies, and again, it's written in such a way, as Rodger has done with his other 2 books that we've talked about on the program, that it makes it fully understandable. You've got action steps at the end. So it's one thing to sort of say what should be done. Now you've got the action steps there. You're sort of like taking us by the hand and saying, okay, this is what you're going to do. And I love retirement issues you will face. You talk about take a 30-day inventory of spending patterns and routines. Talk about that, because that seems so simple, but that really is the key to, if we're spending more money, putting more money, taking more money out than we're actually putting into the bank account.
Right. When I thought about it, when I heard about this a long time ago, I said, this is ridiculously simple. And I heard about it over 25 years ago, and it was in the back of my mind. And at that time, I didn't make as good of decisions as I made now. I was a smoker and drank a lot of fancy coffee. And I got a little spiral notebook, got a pen, and I jotted down everything that I spent over 30 days. And then I tallied everything up on day 31. And Rick, I got to tell you, I was extraordinarily displeased with myself, finding how much money I had spent on tobacco, the stupid decisions I made there, but I did quit over 25 years ago.
Great.
How much I spent on coffee. And nowadays, you can go into any of these fancy coffee shops and you're not going to spend $1 or $1.50 on coffee. You could spend $3.80, $4.50, $5, $6
Yes.
on a fancy sugary drink that's 18 ounces. You do that 1 or 2 days a week for 5, 6, or 7 days. All of a sudden, you spent $150 on coffee in a month.
It's amazing when you calculate
your Roth
that.
IRA.
Well, yeah, when you write it down, it's visual, and then suddenly, like you said, you go back and you take inventory, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that I did this.
Right, it becomes real. But you have to put in everything that you spend in cash, credit cards, checks, and then things that are automatic, maybe your utility bill, your mortgage, gas that you put in the car, so on and so forth. And this way, what you're visually going to have in front of you is a very good idea of the amount of money that actually goes through your fingers every month, because most people don't realize what it is. And you know that in order to solve a problem, you first have to see what the problem is. And if you realize, Rick, that you're spending, pick a number, $360 a month on nonsense, and you realize over the course of a year, that's around $4,300 or so, you're saying, you know something? I can save a lot of money if I'm just more careful and more mindful of what I'm spending.
The mindset aspect keeps coming back. The name of the book, the Mindset of Retirement Success. Time is going by so rapidly in the program, but you even take it a step further. The second strategy is, are you willing to do what is necessary? You have to learn to live with less than you earn. So you talk about in the action steps, writing down 5 ways you can cut back on your monthly spending, and you've already charted that. You've got that inventory, so you go back and do that. Circle 3 of them that you can eliminate in 30 days. So just knowing where you're frivolous doesn't really change anything, but circling and making a plan to eliminate in 30 days, suddenly we've got some success here, don't we?
Yeah, and I didn't tell them to eliminate 20 items. I didn't tell them to eliminate 1. I said, let's just take a mindful approach. Show me 3 things that you could either eliminate totally or spend significantly less on. Let us make some progress. We're not going to get to the top of the mountain today, but let's make some progress. Let's move forward.
I got a minute or so left in the program. I'm going to jump to one that I think is so important. It's the winning strategy. Don't go it alone. Assemble a team. And you talk about the significance of that, because solid investment strategy is more than watching an infomercial on television and deciding you're going to be a day trader.
Right. You may be a great dentist. You may be a great chiropractor. You may be a crane operator for all I know. But what do you know about crafting a retirement income strategy that could last 20 or 30 years? That's probably outside your skill set. What you want to do is ask for referrals, find a certified financial planner, a chartered retirement plans counselor, and meet with these people and find someone that you have chemistry with, that you feel comfortable with, and start to work with them to create a plan for yourself and your family.
It's an excellent book, new from Rodger Friedman, The Mindset of Retirement Success, 7 Winning Strategies to Change Your Life. Rodger Allen Friedman, the author. That's Friedman. Website, Rodger, Rodger, on retirement.com. Books available, Amazon, all the usual places, and of course at Rodger's website. Great information on the website as well. And you can link on directly to Rodger's website by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Rodger, it is always a pleasure. Look forward to having you back on the program. So much more to talk about. It's an excellent job with the Mindset of Retirement Success. Thank you for being with us on the program.
Thank you, Rick. It was a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Once again, the name of the book, The Mindset of Retirement Success, Rodger Allen Friedman. Information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. And we're back after these messages.